Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Wrap Podcast, the place to catch up on all the regional and national rugby in Wales. You can find us on all the usual social media platforms and message us through there if you want, or you can email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. So all the boring stuff out the way, let's talk rugby.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Wrap Podcast with me, Lee G, as always, and joining me as usual is Harley and Carwyn. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, jolly good. So Jamie would normally be with us, but Jamie is off sunning his slap in south of Spain somewhere, I think. And filling his manky flip-flops this week is Gav. Evening, Gav. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Lee.
Good man. So a fellow Dragon supporter replacing Jamie. So we can expect the usual levels of optimism and excitement for the season and things like that, I'm expecting.
Well, you know, kind of anywhere other than last is always the hope.
Cool. So I am on a very strict time scale this evening, gents, which I will tell you all about at the very end. But so we're going to crack on nice and quick with a drink of the week competition. So I'm going to come in right at the very bottom with a nice glass of clear vintage water. That's me done. So, Harley, what have you got for us, mate?
Equally boring. I couldn't be bothered rummaging through the extensive alcohol cabinet, so I've just got a bottle of Estrella for tonight.
Oh, that's not so bad. Okay. Carl, what have we got, mate?
Well, you know, I've gone off the beaten track this one. I'm normally on, like I said, on the bud or the wine or whatever, but I don't know what the hell this is. But I just saw it in the shop now. It's called Camden Hell's Lager. Never heard of it. It says, what the hell's? Thanks for asking. Hell's is the love child of our two favourite German beer styles, Hell's and Pilsner. Clean, crisp and dry. It's the beer we always wanted to drink and the reason we started our brewery. We hope you agree. Well, I'll tell you in a minute. But it's 4.6% volume. That's it open. And here we go.
And moment of truth.
That's very nice. That's very nice.
Very nice. Excellent. Cool.
I think the Pils is better from there.
Yeah.
But the Hells is bad.
Yeah. Have you've had it before, have you?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I've never heard of it.
To be honest, there's very little. Nice. There's very little that Harley hasn't had before, mate. You're going to have to go.
I can imagine, you know.
Yeah. Man of the world. Gav, save us from this mediocrity, mate. What have you got?
Well, Jamie told me I had to make an effort, so I have. So I live in Hastings in Sussex, and I've got by the Brewin Brothers, who are literally about 2 miles that way. You can't see. It's a podcast. It's called Stir Hazy, and it's a hazy pale ale. I've had it before. They have a pub just down the road from me, which is the closest thing I've got as a local. So. But they do a range of good beers, and they're worth looking online if you're into craft beers. The Brewin Brothers.
Cool. And what does it taste like, mate?
It's a typical hazy. It's fruity. It's got a kind of pineapple kind of kick to it. What I really wanted, they do a hibiscus pale ale. I can never remember what it's called, but it's pink and it's excellent, and it's 7.5%.
7. See, that's about the Dragons supporters level that we expected, to be honest. Here's some bizarre beer that tastes of some crazy fruit and is really strong. Oh yeah, excellent. It's just like having Jamie on the pod, mate. Cool. Okay, so let's move on to a little bit of news of the week. So let's start with Cardiff. And a couple of sign-ins, a couple of bits of interest. So, Harley, what's been going on at Cardiff this week, mate?
So mainly this week we've had Liam Belcher resign, which is useful because we need hookers, and he's one of the few hookers in the Cardiff squad who is always a hooker and is actually a hooker and can throw-ish, as opposed to converted back rowers, which is one of our specialties. And then Sam Warburton's re-signed to the board. Hopefully, they're hoping his name will draw some more sponsors, I guess, because we need the money.
It's a weird one, though. He's not, I know he's got a couple of businesses and this, that, and the other, but is he, do we know what his role is on the board?
From the statement they put out, it seems like they're using him for his rugby knowledge. And, so I'm presuming it's going to mean he's going to have more of a hand in appointing a permanent head coach when we decide. That's one thing from last time we had the pod. I've forgotten how long it's been. Matt Sherritt's confirmed he's head coach, interim head coach anyway, which decent appointment as we said on the pod that didn't get aired with Jed from Attacking Scrum.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm hoping with Warburton, one, it's going to give the board a bit more rugby nous when they come to selecting coaches, and maybe being a little bit more patient with them, so we don't go through more coaches in their last seasons left. And maybe his name and recognition might convince a few people to put more money in their pocket. That's the reason why you've got people like Lawrence Delalia who was at the board and Wasps as well as that worked. Hoping that the big name recognition helps.
Yeah, well, Scarlett's brought on board Sean Fitzpatrick, didn't he? Yeah, which helped bring over a whole load of New Zealanders and stuff like that, and coaches and players. And there's a bit of an exchange program going on between Scarlets and a couple of New Zealand teams at the minute. So, you never know what a big name might actually do to a side. So, cool. So then got a little bit of transfer news. Carl and Luke, is it Luke Cross?
No, Sam Cross. Yeah,
Sam Cross. That's him. Yeah.
He's gone up to Newcastle following obviously Scott Ball, but obviously Scott's there in the coaching unit there. Obviously, there's been a lot of mention. There's still no official leavers list, but there are obviously a few guys who departed. Like I say, Thomas Francis looks like he's gone. Elvis Tony and a couple of others there. But also, the Ospreys have announced their 2 pre-season fixtures, and that is against the Dragons in Cardiff.
I think we all are, though, aren't we? And we all playing each other before. Yeah.
Are we?
It's one of those. I think everybody's kind of trained together as well before.
Yeah, obviously because of the World Cup and loss of players to the squad or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's not much other news coming out of the Ospreys at the moment. I imagine in the next few weeks, hopefully, we will have some more new signings, not re-signings, and maybe add a bit of spark.
We've been through this. We can't afford new signings. because we're all cutting 2 million off our budgets. Dragons are basically replacing all the players they got rid of because they're on near enough the same.
Yeah.
I think you should be grateful that you've got James Ratty.
Well, yeah, he's a decent player, and obviously,
and
we got a lot
for the whole season.
Well, that's a bonus, isn't it? That is a bonus. I'll take that any day.
Is Cross a loss, Carwyn?
Well, he hasn't really had that many games, and I can only remember like 1 or 2 decent games from him. Now, great sevens player, absolutely. And he says going to Newcastle, he'll be on the 3G pitch or whatever, so it'll help him a lot with his game. But a pitch doesn't make the player, as far as I'm concerned. He hasn't been consistent for the Ospreys. There have been far better players ahead of him. But good luck to him. I hope he can reignite his career up there in Newcastle. Everyone deserves to keep playing as long as they can, don't they? Really, and good luck to him. But certainly with the Ospreys, I don't think he. You look at the back row riches we've had. It was a tough ask to force your way into that anyway. Even when we got players on international duty. So, good luck to him.
I'd say I thought he was a sevens player, wouldn't he? He was in the Olympic squad as well, wasn't he?
He won a silver medal.
Him
and Cubby.
Yeah. So between him and Cubby, one of them's retired and finished, and the other one couldn't make the scratch and has gone up to Newcastle. So, not a great. I mean, don't get me wrong. Winning a silver medal, there aren't many Welsh rugby players that are going to be able to put a silver medal around the neck. But
no, exactly, it's a great achievement.
Yeah, he's got something, isn't he? He's got something. So, Gav, anything coming out of the Dragons, or have they shut up shop on gone on holiday for a couple of weeks?
Well, the only news they've announced this week is Gonzalo Bertriano being selected for the Argentina squad. That's an open training at Astrid Munich if anyone is desperate to visit Astrid Munich.
I mean, do it on a warm day, and you might get away with just the one jumper. It's So Scarlet's news this weekend has only really been the launch of the away kit, which has actually gone down a lot better than the home kit, because the home kit is red, it's scarlet, it's always going to be. And the away kit has got like the couple of outlines of West Wales on there and things like that. And I think that's the bit that's kind of tickled people. But the bit that pisses me off is it's when you go to order it on the website, which I didn't because it was just bloody ridiculous money. But when you go to order it, it says blue. You go, no, I want the green kit. I want because it says it's sea green, so I want the green kit, but it's called blue. And that freaked me out for a little while. But other than that, what did you guys think of it?
I thought it looked all right. I'm glad they brought new shirts. So we're still waiting for the Ospreys to show us a new kit for the season. I don't know about the other two.
It's going to be black and the other one's going to be white. Don't worry
about it. They may surprise you. They may go multicoloured. Again, you never know.
Now they're not in Champions Cup.
Is that what Cardiff are doing? Is it?
See, I think
Cardiff might finally give us that quartered kit the fans have been asking for. Either that, or it might be black and blue instead of blue and black.
It's always a thing with Cardiff: is it blue with a bit of black, or is it black with a bit of blue? It's like that
50-50.
zebra thing,
or red and grey.
Yeah. See,
I'd say I think the Scarlet's away kit is much better than last season's one, which is that horrible grey.
Yeah.
Bleh.
Yeah.
I mean, Dragons will probably have the best kits again because they've got nothing else going for them.
Well, talking of new kits, I was at the match on the weekend, and I really like the new kit. The away kit, the black kit, is really nice. You can see the design on it up close. I got my daughter the red one, and it's lovely. I really like the kit. It's probably the best kit I think they've had in a long while.
I like the collars on the red one.
Yeah.
The black one does have the look of the kind of shirt lads in Valley's pubs would wear when they were trying to beat you up over something.
Yeah.
No one should. It's a bit tight around the biceps, too much neon for me, the black one. But the red one's the best for a while.
Yeah, it's also got the anthem around the bottom of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. I do like it. And, it's got the collar and it's in like cotton as well. It's not this like skin tight stuff like you can't get off after you've been on a night out. But yeah, no, it's nice.
Yeah, with the Scarlets kit, I'm going to kill it with faint praise a little bit. It's the least worst one they've done for a while. I would say, it's not too busy. It's, and the colours are nice, and I like the West Wales design in it. But there's a conversation I've had with Harley before. Rugby clubs should just have proper collars and hoops. There should be no other designs allowed, really.
What with letters on the back or numbers?
I'll take numbers. I'm not that much of a traditionalist.
See, I've got this feeling that the Dragons design team are just sitting there in the background watching everybody else going, right, wait for these fuckers, boys. You just let them carry on and just because the Dragons always do just seem to come out late with a really decent kit, and it's one of those things that I don't know. They just always seem to have a really decent kit.
They just need to bite the bullet, don't do black and amber. I'm not even a Newport Dragons fan. I'm a Valleys Dragons fan, but it plays in Newport. It's pointless pretending. Let's just play in black and amber.
I thought you were hoping for red, white, and green hoops.
Well, that's the dream, Harley. But I'll take black and amber as a second choice.
Cool. Right. Okay. Well, Carwyn hinted there at last weekend, so let's get into the guts of last weekend, then, gents. Let's have a chat about Wales v England. 20 points to 9 was the full-time score. 9-6 was the half-time score. We were 9-6 down. I'm going to open the floor there. Who wants to shout loudest first?
Well.
There we go.
I think everyone had us down for a pounding. With a young team, a couple of spread with a few, experienced internationals, and obviously you weren't going to expect much of the first match for you. And on the first half played up to that. To be honest, there were mistakes being made all over the pitch, and I see Christian Zuna got a bit of jip, and I think deservedly so. I don't think he played well at all. There was a couple of lads who I thought, like Maxwell, and I thought played very well. First cap. Costello played very well. Again, the odd mistake, absolutely expected. But to keep the score sheet of 2-0 against England was very respectable. And they kept on going and going, and it was fantastic. And just a quick shout out at the stadium there. That was the best atmosphere I've experienced at the stadium for a long time. It was really good. Really, really good. There was singing from both sets of fans. Obviously, Swinglow started up first, and that was soon quieting down. But it was really good. And a lot of players, I think, stuck their hands up for selection on that game. I thought, obviously, the two props, Azarati and Domachowski, I thought they had a tough first 40 minutes of international rugby, but they stuck at it. But their running play, they're getting stuck in, was fantastic. The tackling, and they were there, always on the side of the rucks, going forward. And obviously, they'll cliche that propping isn't always about scrummaging these days. You have to have other aspects, and they will get stronger and they will get better, I think. And I think they deserve their chance. Now, whether or not one or both of them will go on into the fuller squad now heading forward, I don't know. But fair play. I thought they did well. Against a much more experienced front row.
So my main question out of that, is did you get your beer on the level that you were sat at? Because when we went, you were going up and down like you were up and down the
bar.
lift.
The bar was right behind me.
Right.
It was great. It was great.
And was it serving your beer?
It was. It was serving it all. I was all over it. It was great.
So that's why you enjoyed the game then. So you
but we were right on the halfway line, right by the players' tunnel. And the kids, they loved it. And actually, shout out to a couple of the English boys there. Ellis Genge before the match, they were taking photos and autographs, and a young Welsh mother passed her little baby over who was dressed in Welsh colours and could have a photo. And fair play, lovely picture. Owen Farrell, Dan Biggs the same. And there was a bit of drip afterwards. some mouthy yob a couple of seats in front of me started giving Owen Farrell jip when Owen Farrell was telling us about to do something else. Anyway, I did turn around to say to this individual, "You're disgraceful, but you shouldn't even be here." And Owen Farrell looked up at me and said, "Thank you very much." So, yeah, my claim to fame. Spoke to Owen Farrell. Well, he said thank you anyway. But
did you still turn around and go, "I still think you're shit, but you're a really nice guy"?
No, I had the kids with me, so I couldn't.
Couldn't let go.
I couldn't go any further. But fair play, fair play to him.
So, Gav, what did you make of the game?
Well, I was watching in weird circumstances, watching it on an iPad in a water park in Greece, which probably wasn't the greatest place to watch it. Before the game, in a group chat where we discussed rugby a lot at the time, I kind of said two things. That I didn't think Jack Morgan was disruptive enough at the breakdown, and that Costello was too lightweight. I think I've been proven utterly wrong on the Morgan thing. He was superb. He still not enough of a nuisance at the breakdown for me, but his tackling and his link play was great. Costello, I'm still not convinced yet. I think against an English defence that wasn't offering a great deal, he had plenty of time and he could do some of the razzle-dazzle stuff. What that would look like against a better defence, I don't know. I think, kind of as Carwyn said, Shunza was poor. I think Domikowski particularly got himself around the field, always offering and good tackling as well. Whether it's enough, I don't know. Azarati, I really fear I won't make the squad. I think when Henry Thomas came on and absolutely kind of give Genge a bit of a battering, I think that was the point where Thomas probably got himself in the squad there. I think it was a good Welsh performance, 6.5 out of 10 maybe, solid performance. England, though, were probably the worst I think I've ever seen them.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, they had a good few opportunities, right on the line as well. But our tackling, our defence was superb. So either were England that poor, or were we just that much better and fitter?
Well, I think the first half, England was solid, and like you say, there was a couple of try-line defences. What let them down, though, was it was basic stuff. Cokanasiga couldn't catch a ball. It's like he'd replaced his hands with walrus flippers or something because he could not catch a ball.
But he did put some players on their backsides, man. He was right in front of me as well. I thought, I wouldn't like to be on the end of that. But he pummeled some players. But he hasn't made the squad.
No. But for me, England had 3 lineouts in our 22 in the first half. They overthrew one. The second one they fumbled, and the third one they gave away a penalty. Now for England,
it was a free kick for stepping out so that you could get into the maul quickly.
Yeah,
well, I'll tell you why they lost these lineouts.
I just want to come in because like everyone's having to go at Christ Chunza. I think part of the problem was the game plan's not been set up for him. If you look at that, he's hitting every ruck. He's securing the ball. 1 or 2 probably he should have bounced out because the ball was won. But if you're looking, the passes were mostly going to Jenkins and Rowlands. And Rowlands probably made a bit of go forward, but David Jenkins made 1 meter with 5 carries. Chunza gets given 1 chance to carry, makes 5. He was it 13 tackles, hit 2. Going back to Jack Morgan not being disruptive enough, again, he's the one who's doing most of the tackling. And I think that's where Chunza's letting himself down, is he's really, ideally, you want Chunza making those hits for Jack Morgan to get in. If Jack Morgan's having to make the tackle, it's an awful lot for him to get up and then over the ball. Although actually it's quite nice seeing Azarati having a fair few pokes at it.
Do you think Shunza is dynamic enough? So a bloke that big, that athletic looking, he doesn't offer a lot of dynamism for me. He's if we compare him to Courtney Lawes, poor sod, but if we are, he doesn't do what Courtney Lawes does he? He's not as destructive in the tackle, and he doesn't run with that. He's not the heavy traffic runner that you need.
There's the aggressiveness doesn't seem to be there, does it?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if part of that's a problem with how he is at club. I mean, it's a point they made on Blood and Mud last night that he sort of plays this weird 6.5 height, wide edge forward. for Exeter, as opposed to paying just a 6 or just a 7. And I think with the back row we had, you had Jenkins and Rowlands and the props. They were the ones doing up the middle tracking, so he wasn't doing that. And then you quite often saw him in the 1-3-2-2. So he was on the wing that all the play was going against. So it's the same as when you always complain about there's always one winger who doesn't seem to get the ball.
I agree.
I think part of it is the game plan isn't there. I do think he does. I think in defence he needs to become a lot more aggressive. But remember, he is still only early 20s. It's gonna take a while for him to get into that sort of rate. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's just that he was poor. I just think the game wasn't set up to get the best out of him. Yes, he could have done more for that. But I mean, I think when your primary carriers are going to be George North and then the 2 second rows, it kind of goes. And I feel like we saw more of Plumtree because Plumtree had to come into second row almost as soon as he came on the pitch.
Yeah, but if you look at Shinza, he plays 7 for club, he plays 6 for country. Sometimes he plays 4 and 5. Do you know what I mean? It's not easy to keep particularly
he needs to nail down position.
Yeah, it's a disadvantage, as they always say with James Hook. His problem was he was too good.
Too good.
He could play in too many positions, rather than a settled one position. But just going back to your line out there. So England were practicing before the game off a step ladder. The hooker was throwing one height. Now Wales was throwing, practicing, and he threw the ball first, and Hugh Bennett we stood there, and then lift up his adjusted netball hoop, and it was right there on the money. Every time, no matter where you threw, bang, you can stand there, it's in. But one throw up onto the top of the ladder,
Yeah, the Borthwick ladder, it's a fixture now for any team Borthwick's around.
But this is what I mean. When you've got Steve Borthwick as your head coach, you would expect that England line out to be absolutely spot on every time. Without fail, that and your scrum, that's your starting point. And you could almost forgive if there wasn't the adventurous play outside, because that's what Steve Borthwick has built his games and his teams on. And for me, I don't know. I don't think that Wales can take that much out of that game, because England were
maybe not
quite poor, and first off we were poor. I thought first off we were really, really poor.
And England are going to have a more experienced team next week, whereas we're not. We're going to throw in another 23 players. Maybe there's 1 or 2 who will retain the place. I don't know, but I think that's better for us because we're getting a wider look at what we can do. And come the South African game, I think we're going to be fully, I'd say 85% fully fledged first team going on the pitch.
So, a couple of players that I want to get your views on then, right? So, my favourite, Handsome George at 13.
Didn't he play well, Lee?
No. They were still. We're still in this position of looking for reasons to make him look good. And a half-decent side, the amount of space outside him, in defence, it is mainly defence, I've got the issue, where England did keep that ball quite tight. And then any opportunity they had to move it wide, they screwed it up. Because if they moved it wide, there were 2 men outside George North every time. Because he comes up too high in defence and he doesn't pressure. And for me, if I'm looking at that and I'm South Africa, I'm going, right, we're going 13. If George North is playing, we're going 13 channel every time. I thought we had a couple of decent runs, but, you could put him in at prop and he'd have a decent run. You could put him in at scrum half and he'd have a decent run because he's got a set of legs and an engine. Do you know what I mean? At 13, I don't know, maybe he's watching Jonathan Davis for the last 10 years or whatever, but I've got a higher expectation of what my 13 does than George North.
I don't think he defends like a 13, Lee. That's, he defends like a winger. If you run down his channel, you're not getting through him because he is a solid tackler. But if you see on Saturday, he was leaving that space wide, but Halfpenny was on the kind of sweep every time. So even though I think defensively he doesn't get it right and he doesn't hold himself like a 13, I think now we have a system that seems to understand that. When Pivac was playing him at 13, it was a lottery. Whereas Halfpenny was covering that. Whether Liam Williams will do that is another thing entirely. But
also he came in at when England nearly scored across the line and had the ball. Obviously, he had to run into touch. He had nowhere else to go. But if he wasn't there, it'd have been try time England. He was also covering that defence. I think he has grown as a 13. I don't think he does have the pace as a winger. I wouldn't tell him to his face, but but I think he's doing a solid job at the moment.
Okay, so next player off the rank then, Halfpenny. So Harley, what did you make of Halfpenny?
He had the exact sort of game you expect him to have. Solid in the high ball. His kick return was great. He didn't really threaten the line, but I don't think we were playing that sort of game. I think he linked. I think he linked very well. I think he's a much better link player than Liam Williams, which is why Pivac persisted with him so much, because he almost acted as a second. He quite often could step in at first receiver.
And his defense was great again.
His defense is. I mean, there's not enough things you can't really say anything about his defense because it's going to be good. One thing, I don't think he got his head on the wrong side of a tackle for the first team in about 3 years. Quite nice.
Yeah, and he managed to actually make it to the pitch.
There's that too. I said me and my wife, when he was first announced, were wondering whether or not he's actually get. So Halfpenny's my wife's favourite player. She's got a grog of him that just stares at me whenever I roll over in bed. And he had a great game. Yeah. Do I think it's enough for the World Cup? I think it depends whether or not we go on to talking about squads, but we may save that till after this week, or the week, or after this South Africa game. But I'm not sure still he's the right one for it. But at the same time, if it's a choice between him and an untested option, I'd just check him in.
Yeah, you'd have no qualms putting him in any Welsh team throughout the tournament, to be honest. He does a job.
He'll go, I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
He won't be first choice by any stretch of imagination, but I'd be hugely surprised because I don't know who the other options are.
Yeah.
Because I can see Gatland only taking one recognised fullback, and if Anscombe's fit, then he covers it, or they're going to use Adams or Zamet.
If Anscombe's fit.
Yeah, this is where I think it changes whether or not you're taking 4-back-3 or 3 cent. If you're dropping a back 3 or dropping a centre for the squad makeup.
Yeah.
Well, we'll discuss that after the South Africa game, because I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in between now and then. That
I think there's a lot of recency bias as well, with people already starting to pick their squads, and some people are picking based on last week's game alone. And
there's a lot of
make that cool.
Well, one player that made his debut for Wales before even getting his Scarlet's bloody training kit, Tane Plumtree. So, what did you make of him, Gab? What did you? He didn't have much ball or anything, but he certainly put himself around a bit.
Real nuisance at the ruck. Force a couple of turnovers. Athletic looking. He looked more like the player Shunza should be for me. Yeah. And I think if we're taking one utility forward, he looks the better deal currently. Bear in mind, I think I've seen him play twice in Super Rugby and 20 minutes for Wales, so I'm hardly basing it on a raft of knowledge. But he looked like, exactly where he is. He's a product of New Zealand rugby, isn't he? He's he gets around the field. He's a nuisance. Strayed offside a few times, but not enough to catch the ref's eye. He's a New Zealander and he plays like one. And I thought we brought something different. And he can play in the second row as well.
That's it. He had a line out stealing our own 22 as well. And how often can we say we turn the ball over?
And the bit for me was when he was hitting people, it didn't matter where he was hitting them, whether they were tackle or ruck or whatever, he was doing it with aggression. There was and making an impact. Do you know what I mean? There was no, you could see after a couple of, there was one ruck he went into and he hit someone and they went back and they kind of stood up and went to face him and just kind of then, all right, well, I might just walk away. Do you know what I mean? Now, that as a back row player, when you're hitting people and they're not willing to face up to you, you know you're on top. You know you've got them. You know you can do whatever you want with them. And every time they've got the ball, they're looking at you before they're looking at the ball. So I was really impressed with his physicality. Like I say, most people in Wales never seen the guy play before. So
when you talk about aggression being in the back row, and everyone's seen the clip now, it's one permanent reel, I think, of Jack Morgan smashing Pearson back. As part of that clip, you see the look on Jack's face and the aggression and the drive. You could just see he's like, "You're having it, son. I'm not going back with you. There's only one way you're going." You know, and that's leading from the front. A great example of captaincy.
It was very Warburton-esque, that tackle, which is why I can actually see how he would work as a 6/7.
Yeah.
So obviously the Ospreys have used him quite extensively at 6 because if you've got him and Tipuric, you're going to stick him in the same back row. So I think if Gatland does decide to do the 2 open sides as an option, Jack's probably the 7 we have. Maybe Tommy Reffell, but I haven't really seen. I mean, again, this is recency bias. Next weekend, I imagine Tommy Reffell's going to get 80 minutes, and we'll be calling for him to be 7.
I see.
But also, we have. Sorry,
no, go on, Carwyn.
I just said we also haven't spoken about Aaron Wainwright, who was superb.
No.
You know, what a game he had. Like I say, like everyone says, it was probably his best game for a long time in a Wales shirt. You know, he performs week in, week out for the Dragons, but in a Wales shirt, this is the best he's played for a long time. He was smashing through everyone, tackling. He was everywhere, absolutely everywhere. If he was a second man on the match, he would have had it. You know.
Can Reffell, as you were saying, Harley, I see a lot more English rugby than I probably want to, but you know, Reffell is great at the one thing that you don't see Morgan doing a lot of. He's just an absolute ruck goblin. He's there. He's at every ruck. He's causing a nuisance. He's slowing it down. Kind of whether he brings the same kind of physicality in defence that Morgan does is a question. You know, he's more disruptive. And as Calvin was saying, I think Wainwright, I don't understand what Wainwright had done to Pivac because Pivac didn't seem to like Wainwright. And whilst he's not spectacular, he can do that every time. You know, he is super consistent for Dragons.
Yeah.
And
so I just say, I got a new word of the week from Gav there, ruck goblin. That's my word of the week. I've never heard that before. I like that. That is going up on the wall.
But when you look at Gareth Davies's try, you know, it's the bit that impressed me with Gareth Davies's try was in that second half we loosened up the structure a bit more. We weren't as tight. We weren't as you have to do Warren. But first half we played Warren ball. England coped with it perfectly well. One pass contact, one pass contact, one pass contact. It was consistent. Run out of options, kick. Second half we loosened it up a little.
The Pivac style, was it?
Well, no, but it was a little bit more controlled, but it was a little bit looser than Gatland. So it comes to Costello, crossfield kick to the left, and you're like, right, and you know we're in the middle of the pitch, we're halfway, we're a crossfield kick to the left, couple of rucks, and then crossfield kick back to the right, and that's what made it. It's like, you know, you don't get that kind of thing in a structured game, but then Wainwright catches a ball, takes the winger, the second row, who's the inside defender, is then concerned enough with Wainwright that he commits to Wainwright, and then the offload comes inside. And that's the bit that creates the space to make that try. It just was a brilliant piece of play from a number 8. You know, from any player, that would be superb. But from a number 8 to take a fairly decent winger and a second row and then offload, and a really good offload right into the breadbasket that give Jack Morgan the opportunity to do stuff. Yeah, for me, that was probably the skill moment of the game. For if you're looking at somebody and going, you know, what am I going to aspire to? That's the kind of level of skill that you need to aspire to on that. So that for me was superb. So before we look at next week's game, let's have a couple of stats from Harley because I knew the spreadsheets are there. I can see you itching to get them out, Ali. So what have we got in terms of stats from that?
So this one is this particular. So one for all the Ospreys and Jack Morgan fans. So these next couple are from Russ Petty, and I'm going to make sure that everyone knows it's Russ Petty at our Petty 80, because unlike a certain Wales Online journalist, I'm not just going to use his stats without accreditation. So in 60 minutes, Jack Morgan was the most tackles, dominant tackles, and defenders beaten with 19, 4, and 5 respectively, which I think is a hell of a thing. But the stat that I really liked was so in the last 75 years, there's only been 3 occasions where Wales have started debuts for both props. So 75 with Faulkner and Price.
I knew that would be there. Yeah, that had to be there. Yeah.
Then Staff Jones and Ian Eidman in 1983, and then Domachowski and Azarati. And Wales won all 3 of those fixtures. So why did we not save Henry Thomas's debut for next week and put him up with Matthias?
yeah, that would have ticked a lot of boxes, wouldn't it? Flying.
And then just as more of a silly thing, I was looking at all the squads and how old everyone is and when they were born. I found out, so looking at all the players born in World Cup years.
Great,
so
bring it
can
on.
Anyone guess how many out of the 45, 48, however many were born in a World Cup year?
24.
No, I'm going to go, 1 in 4, so 12.
16.
I say Gav's closest is 19.
So if you go back 9 months...
So it's across 4 World Cups. So 1987, can anyone guess who that was?
Halfpenny.
Will Rowlands.
Dan Lydiate.
Of course, yeah.
1987.
Can I just confirm, was he born in the World Cup year, or was it 9 months after the World Cup?
No, it was in the World Cup year. So it was born in 1987.
Oh.
So 1991, we have Henry Thomas, Will Rowlands, Anscombe, and Liam Williams. And then the one that surprised me is for 1995. So it's same important for me because it's the same year my sister was born. You have Ryan Elias, Kieran Hardy, Thomas Williams, Nick Tompkins, and Josh Adams, which are all players who I all thought were either older or younger than that. And then 99 was Kenzie Matthias, Stewie Lake, Tame Basham, Tommy Raphael, Matt Llewellyn, Rio Dyer, and Kai Evans. I was only thinking about this because I remember on Twitter you were talking with some people about the youngest backline we could do, and actually I looked at it, and most of the people named in this baby backline were actually some of the oldest in their position.
It wasn't so much. It's just the look. When you look at Sam Costello. Every time I see Sam Costello walks on the pitch, I think he's got to hand the referee a note from his mum to say it's okay, he's allowed out.
Considering I know he signed for Italy, but can you imagine Sam Costello and Stephen Varney as a halfback pairing? That is a proper thing. That is a proper. Sorry, mate. The under-16s are playing next door.
Yeah.
Well, the Scarlet scrum half that's coming through at the minute is Archie Hughes, and he's smaller than Costello, and they played together once, and you just look at them when you go, serious, and that's like the youth team out, but you go, so you got Costello, and then like Tompkins, who isn't the biggest 12 in the world, and then Joe Roberts, who similarly only looks good when he stands next to Costello. And then you've got the option of Grady and Llewellyn opposite them, and you just think that's a big, there's a massive difference between the two of them. But yeah, be interesting to see who we go with this weekend, which brings us on to go on, Gav.
I was just going to say, I think Grady looked particularly good when he came on as well. He wanted to run through people, and that's all he was interested in doing. It was nice to see.
Would you put him at 6?
About the George North thing, I think that's kind of what Lee's alluding to, what he wanted to see George North doing from 13. Because aside from that one line out, Grady mostly was in was in the 13 channel, with North taking on more of the 6 role.
I was going to say, what position did when he came on, what position was everyone playing? Because I got lost.
No idea. There was so many on the pitch.
It
No
was sort of
idea.
it did become a bit more fluid, but I think so I think North was sort of doing more of the sixth role. So he was actually North was actually cleaning out a lot of rucks, and he was on the side of the scrum.
Well, he's
so
got
there you go. Maybe
yeah.
that's the answer for George North. Is we don't think of him as a 13, we think of him as an extra back rower.
Yeah, the utility player. And there will come a time at some point where somebody throws that in. There'll be a random side, probably Fiji or Samoa, where they just go, we're going to name a player as a 21, 22, and 23, put them on at the start, and they can just go where they want. And if they want to go into a ruck, they go into ruck. And if they want to turn up on the wing, they turn up on the wing. That's just the way.
France do that with Makalou, don't they? Makalou can cover the backs or the back row.
South Africa do it with Quagga Smith as well because he's really quick. Obviously, last World Cup we used James Davis and Scarlets did in their title winner run. Speaking of rucks, one thing that did please me, I know we were saying like we can't be too happy with many things, but there were two things that I thought actually, irrespective of England, I thought Wales were better at. One was ball retention. The way we were hitting rucks was a lot better. There was no panic, which I think leads me on to two, which is where I think Gatland has improved on what Wayne Pivac was doing, because we're still doing a similar attacking shape, but you can see what the shape is and you can see what each person's role is. That's why I can say Junja was there to clear out rucks. He wasn't there to carry. But you had the pods, you could see where all the pods were, you could see where different players were supposed to be. And it just seemed a lot less everyone everywhere all at once. So, and the Pivac ball, it was just everywhere. And I think players were just confused half the time. And if the players are confused, the fans haven't got a chance. So those were my top line highlights of it. Wales look like they know what they're doing a lot more, even if they weren't necessarily firing on all cylinders.
And I think that comes from trying to do less. They're actually trying to do less, just doing it better. But so let's have a look at this weekend then. So England away in Twickenham.
HQ.
Ticket prices have doubled, which, I mean, they were steep enough back home, but if you want to go and watch in England, bugger me. So what are we expecting? What are we expecting from England, first of all, this weekend?
You'll get a proper squad, I imagine. Seems to be the chat amongst everyone that I know involved in the game down here that England are going to put a proper team out.
Well, they're going to try.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as I said, as it came out in the Telegraph, half of their squad aren't available, despite naming it on Monday. So I imagine it'll be a much more cohesive team.
Yeah.
But that can only be good for us.
But it looks like Johnny Hill. You're looking at seeing Johnny Hill and Johnny May starting despite not being in the squad. Guy Porter might be on because there's doubts over Tuolangi again. There's Billy Villapola's injured still. Ollie Chesham is rehabbing. They're hoping he's going to be fit.
It's a weird squad, our England one as well, isn't it? Because, there's a lot of not fit guys in it. I think the pack's going to look a lot more like, or the front row particularly anyway, because I think the front row was given a bit of a beast in second half. Be interesting to see if they put Smith at 10 again.
I think they will. I think they've got to show a bit of confidence in him and go, you need to, even at international level, you need to build your side around something, whether it's the scrum, the line out, or an expansive 10.
Well, they've got 3 more fixtures, including us. They've got 3 more fixtures, so I can see them going for the Ford Farrell access again for this game. I don't think Marcus Smith played well at all. He's like Michael McIntyre on Heat. He was all over the shop, I thought. But I think they will go for a stronger 9-10. 10-12 access, sorry.
I think with Smith, I watched Quins quite a lot. What the difference between Quins Smith and England Smith is Esterhuiz in the 12. He does everything for Smith. He does his tackling, he covers him, he offers him an easy out, and no one seems to do that for England.
And that's what I mean. You have to base it around, if you're going to have a player like we were talking about, if you're going to have George North at 13, then you make an adjustment in defence somewhere else, and that for us is halfpenny. If you can have Marcus Smith in there as a creative player, then you need to have somebody at 12, like you're saying, Gav, that can take that pressure off him and almost look after him a bit more to allow him to be the creative player, haven't you? So what are we?
Problem is for England, their 2-12s really are Manu Tuolangi, who's always ill, and Owen Farrell.
Yeah.
And all right, it may have started. Farrell may have started to work, but basically it involved. It always makes Marcus Smith a luxury you can't afford. Where you could probably have the same thing of having a creative player like Henry Slade, who isn't in the squad, or using Elliot Daly or Max Malins coming into the line similar to Willie LaRue.
I think Farrell's by far their best option at 10 at the moment.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, he's probably the least exciting. But
he's like Johnny Wilkinson. He wins games.
Yeah.
At the end of the
day, that's what you need.
You're just sucking up to him because he smiled at you in the stadium. That's all you want.
He didn't smile. He was still annoyed and he said thank you.
Oh, hello.
He fits the game plan, though, doesn't he, Farrell? He kicks well, he defends well. England have got good centres, and the insistence on picking Tuolangi infuriates me. Lawrence is a good player. Marchant is a great player.
Yeah, Marchant played very well.
Both are different to Tuolangi. The problem is that they've built the game plan around Tuolangi and refuse to change it. Because actually, Marchant and Lawrence, although they can crash up, they're far more deceptive, and actually they work. I'd say they're much better at 13 than. Similar to how we've been wanting to use North and Grady is by having that punch at 13. Part of the reason why I thought whilst when he wasn't constantly concussed or injured, Johnny Williams actually might be a decent 13 for Wales. For just having the pace and actually having that battering ram just that little bit further out, and you can always cut them in.
Yeah.
I mean, similar to last week. I mean, it was great that we had the win last week, and it's important. For us, for that, it's not all been losses for Wales, particularly at home. I think we're probably going to change it'd be a different starting 15. You might see a couple of players back on the bench just covering injuries. Gatland's hinted quite heavily at who's likely to start, so we'll probably see the Ospreys front row with Lake at hooker and probably captain. Dan Lydiat's going to start. I imagine we'll see Beard and Rhys Davis. And then I think purely because Faletau isn't fit, we're going to have a nice look at Plumtree for a decent stretch, which is, I think, we need before we say he's definitely the answer. Although that first 30 minutes he had was promising.
Do we think
England I'm interested in. England, I mean, they've basically made their bed now. They've got to show a huge turnaround. So the pressure's on them. It's not on Wales. Wales are still trying to work out who they want to be.
Do we think Rio Dyer's probably done now as an international player?
No. I tell you what, I was sat there and he got bumped off by Cock and Cigar, right? But he went straight back in on it, and he was straight on that for the turnover. And you could see the team supporting him from the subs bench. Proper egging him on, going, boy, well done, good effort. You didn't just stay down. You got back. If you got back stuck in, and he's like any winger. You got to find that space, or you got to be given the space to work in. And he's always looking for space. I thought he had a decent game. Not his best game, but he did all right. I think he may even play again this weekend. But we'll see.
I think we're likely going to see Adams, and I think that with Cuthbert out, it's probably going to be Tom Rogers on the right wing. So I think we are going to see completely different. We're going to see a different 15 because Gatland's got to see everyone in the squad, really. Yeah. I think if you're, particularly the uncapped players, if you're not in this game, you're probably not captain. You might as well consider yourself out of the squad.
Yeah, there hasn't been play, won't he?
Yeah, and there hasn't been a lot of talk.
It's hinted he's going to play outside Tompkins with maybe Kieran Williams coming in, which makes sense. I mean, I'd like to see Kieran Williams and Joe Roberts together, but similar to with Llewellyn, they didn't chuck Grady in with him, even though they played week in week out this season. They wanted someone with, as mad as Tompkins is, at least he does have the captain in theory experience.
Do you think Kai
The
Evans will
problem
be on
is
the
that
bench
all
this weekend?
25 of his caps are 25 first tests.
Say again, Car.
Yeah, do you think Kai Evans will be on the bench this weekend, or are they saving him for the South African game? Because I said he wants to give everyone a shout, doesn't he?
I'd be tempted to because Anscombe's injured, and
Yeah.
Kai. I know he's not. He's a sort of. If you need him, he can be a 10.
Yeah.
As opposed, he's probably more a fullback, but he can cover 10.
Yeah.
So I think he's quite likely to be on the bench as well.
Could probably cover wing as well.
Otherwise, you're giving bigger.
You can cover wing as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got Liam Williams at fullback, you'd probably push him to the wing.
Yeah.
So where do we think we are now with hookers? Because Ken Owens is obviously gone. Ryan Elias looks like he's going to be out for a while, which leaves.
Well,
Derry
he said
Lake
it doesn't look too bad with Ryan Elias. Doesn't look too bad at the moment.
He spent
also,
most
they're
of
going to rest him.
Yeah, but he spent most of this year. I think it was Christmas time he got injured, so he's been out injured for a fair bit already. Comes back, one game for Wales, 6 minutes, and he's out
Yeah,
injured
you've got to feel
again.
for the boy. You've got to feel for him.
But does that just
Darry
leave
Lake,
us?
Sam Parry.
Yeah, they brought Sam Parry in, didn't they?
Yeah, I feel like Parry was brought in under the assumption that he's probably just there as an extra body. I imagine he'll probably be on the bench on Saturday. And if he gives in a good performance and Elias isn't quite right, then I think Gatton's ruthless enough to drop it, even though he is a huge fan of Elias. And he singled him out as being one of our strongest scrummaging hookers.
Yeah.
Which, considering we're going to be taking a prop with one, maybe two caps, at least one prop. Well, actually, no, we're probably taking two props with only a couple of caps. Having a hooker who can take some of that pressure off your props is going to help. Especially when you look like how a lot of other teams use a strong scrummaging hooker, they almost to attack the other team's scrum because it's almost like a free hit to sort of split the tight head away from the other two.
Well, Elliot D played well when he came on, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think he had the second most tackles as well.
But he's always been energetic, and he's always been an energetic player.
Yeah.
So who were you, Gav, who are you looking forward to seeing this weekend? Who do you want to see having a bit of a trot?
Well, yeah, I'd like to see more of Plumtree. I'm really excited with that. I think, I want to see Joe Roberts. I want to see what he's got to offer as well. And then back row, I'd like to see Rafael. I think, they're free players who might bring something different into the squad. So I'd like to see them all get a bit of game time. As much as I don't think these games are meaningless, and you always want to win every game. We've got nothing to lose by doing that, and really rolling the dice and trying some new things.
So Harley, who are you looking forward to seeing, mate?
I think, as I said, it's nice. It'd be nice to see Team Plumtree having a proper shout out. I'd love to see Rhys Davis have a go because I think he's that Bradley Roberts enforcer bastard lock that we've been missing since Jake Ball. I'd quite like to see Joe Roberts just because it means then we've got something different at 13. Because if you think Grady and North are effectively the same, they're a big brutish fast bloke. And it'd be nice to have maybe a bit of garlic. Potentially depending on how your opposition and whether or not you want to attack a bit closer and a bit further away, you could have your Guile a bit further out and then your big Bosch coming through at 12 or vice versa. I'm interested to see how Kemsley Matthias goes because I'd say he's probably I just think he deserves a chance because he did play very well for the Scarlets. My personal choice in my blue and black tinted glasses is Azarate. But it'd be interesting to see how he goes because as Gav alluded to, we're probably going to have a much strong. He's going to probably end up with the sterner of the two tests, which is why I think Gatton's likely to go to his perceived first choice front row of Gareth Thomas, Derry Lake, and Tom Francis. Who actually Thomas Francis, I think, has got a lot to worry about.
Yeah, I think Henry Thomas breathing down his neck now, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's
Henry
good.
Thomas has got a good chance of going as first, and in theory, he's a bit better around the park than Francis. So I think Francis is scrummaging alone, although he's probably one of our best ruck cleaners. He's never a destructive one.
Mm.
And I think when you've got people like Azarati and Dylan Lewis who bring something extra as well as scrummaging.
Yeah,
Francis
Dylan Lewis and scrummaging. Yeah.
You put a big enough person behind him, he can hold up long enough. He did it for 70 odd minutes against South Africa in this World Cup semi-final. I wouldn't start him. I think again, Dylan Lewis, another one I think could be in trouble.
Well, hopefully.
Carwyn, anyone you're particularly looking forward to seeing this weekend?
Well, the first guy, I think I spoke about him all season, and that's Kieran Williams. I'd like to see him start from the beginning. You know, he is a fantastic pocket rocket. You know, and I hope he does get that chance and shows what he can do on the international stage. I think he fully deserves it. Secondly, like we mentioned there, Henry Thomas. I want to see him from the start, and also Dowie Lake as well. Probably his captaincy as well, I guess, if that's the route Gatland's going down at the moment. And again, we've all mentioned him, Tame Plumtree from the start. It'd be great to see him. And I want to see Josh Adams have a really good game, you know, because I say no tries in all his tests last season, or up to this point anyway. You know, so it'd be good to see him hit a bit of form going into the World Cup. Because on his day,
hopefully they'll put him on the correct wing, which is the left wing.
On the left wing,
having him on the right, so for Rio Dyer to do all the chasing was I don't think works. I think Adams is a fantastic left. He's probably our best technical winger.
Yeah,
and especially for kick chase and he'll poach. I'm sure you'll get into more because if you look at his form for Cardiff, he scored 11 in 11 games.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Games, so it's clearly not his form. I think it was more the systems and
the system it was really played in. Yeah, so it'll be good to see those boys go and hopefully they go well. I hope they all go well. You know, and hopefully we get a win because. It's only good for confidence, you know. And then obviously South Africa coming up, but who have left out quite a few big names as well for their squad for travelling.
Speaking of baffling squads,
yeah, I know.
2 hookers. Their third hooker cover is a open side flanker who hasn't played there in 2 years, and they've got 4 scrum halves.
It's mental.
And no Lucanio Am. Imagine having I don't know what you describe it. The confidence, we'll call it, not to pick him.
Yeah.
Well, with Andre Pollard and Lucanio Am, they are currently injured, so they haven't named them in the official squad. But they are
standby list,
in like, was it the Shadow Squad?
They're in transit.
So I imagine it won't. You know, as soon as they're vaguely fit, Razi's going to be going to Grant Williams or whoever they perceive to be the 4th choice scrum half and going, right, you've done your hamstring.
Yeah.
No, you've done your hamstring, or I will do your hamstring. You bring the other one in to bring him in.
It's like, you've got an injury. No, I haven't. Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
Oh, yeah, that injury.
So for me, what I'm looking forward to this weekend is seeing a bit more evolution of the game plan, because I think that was my concern with Gatland coming back in, that we go straight back to Warren Ball, which we kind of did during the Six Nations and first half, you know, half-time on Saturday. If I'd have been able to reach the remote, I probably would have turned it off. And the second half, we showed signs of actually loosening it up. And that's where, you know, that's where we are quite good. We aren't going to physically dominate any side for 80 minutes. We're just not big enough. We haven't got the boys. You know, we're not going to outsmart a massive amount of people for 80 minutes. We've got to keep chopping and changing and doing the bit that they're not expecting. And, you know, when they turn their back in hour 22 and they're not looking and they're expecting us to kick, then we take a tap and go. You know, it's these sorts of things that we've got to start using our head a bit more. And like I say, when the game broke up a little bit more on Saturday, we were a lot more confident playing that than England were. England were very confident on that. So I'm looking to see, you know, how we break that game up, how the game plan evolves, and yeah, defence at 13. Whoever comes in at 13, that's key for me. But key players for me on Saturday, I'm really looking forward to seeing Kemsley Mathias. I think he didn't start the season as Scarlet's number one prop in the same way as 4 years ago, Wyn Jones wasn't Scarlet's number one prop and came through and was just amazing. So, yeah, I think he's got a big future ahead of him. Whether it's at this World Cup or future World Cups, he's got a massive future ahead of him. And the same with Joe Roberts. I'm really looking forward to see just sleight of feet, sleight of hand. Just you'd swear to God he's tackled and he's up and he's gone. So yeah, that's the bit that I'm looking forward to. Yeah, and Plumtree again for all the things that we said. So yeah, quite looking forward to the game this weekend, which makes a difference. But like I say, England were poor last week, so it's going to be a very, very different game. Very different game this week. Which brings me to predictions for this week. Oh, this is the bit. This is a bit. Gav's going to freeze now. Gav's going to go, I'm not getting involved in this shit now. No, my screen's frozen. So let's have some predictions for score for this weekend. Gav, you have the pleasure of going first on this.
My head says England by 6, but my heart says Wales by 4.
Oh, that's a wide fence to sit on, Gav.
Well, I live in England and I've got pre-season tomorrow, so I don't say anything too outrageous because I don't want to get the hell kicked out to me. In reality, I think England are going to win. I think we're going to have a far more experimental team, and they're going to have something that looks a bit more like a first choice team.
Okay. Harley?
I'm thinking less optimistic than Gav. I'm thinking England will probably be around about 12. Because, I think it's going to be experimental. I think for Wales, it's going to be more about, can we see what they're trying to do? And as long as we can sort of roughly see the shape and something that we're getting a few people a better idea of who's actually going to go in this squad, I think that's far more important than whether we win. England, I think, as I said earlier in the pod, England need this win more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if this stronger England team is struggling against Wales, who are, we're going to be throwing people in, it might look, our pack might be a little bit more closer to a first choice pack, minus Will Rowlands. And, without Rowlands, Faletau, maybe Jack Morgan. I think they're going to have to ask some serious questions.
Okay, so you're going for England by
12.
By 12. Okay. Carwyn, give us some reality, mate. Come on. Give us some...
Absolutely. You know how much of an optimist I am, Lee. So the scoreline will be 25-18 to Wales.
Goodbye.
Everyone's... Like we've all said in here, England have to win this game. But Wales aren't going there to give England what they want. They still want to win the game. And a bit of youth and experience again. And we do have the players to win. It doesn't matter who you put, which English team you put in front of us. I don't think their England's team's going to be looking at anything like their first team. So yeah, we do have the opportunity, and they've got nothing to fear. They're going there because they're playing for their World Cup spots. If they don't play well, good luck. So they have to be on top of the game. So I am going for that Wales by 7 points, 25-18.
Goodbye. Well, I'm going to go for one of these strange occurrences.
Oh, you love the draw again, are you?
No. Better than that. Better than that. I'm going to go for a 20-9 win again. I'm going to go for exactly the same scoreline as last week. And England will be sitting there on Monday morning going, what the fuck happened there? And there'll be all sorts of crazy shit going off in England. There'll be questions about Borthwick. There'll be questions about the system. There'll be questions about the league. There'll be all sorts of shit going on. And we'll be coming home to Wales going, nice one, tidy. We got this one.
9 points come from some slightly dodgy scrum penalty decisions.
Yeah. And
like one where Azarati was pinged for dropping his knee, and you could quite clearly see Genge pull back. And then after half time, first scrum, Genge gets pinged for pulling back. It's almost like someone had a word with the referee and said, he's not supposed to step back, right?
But this is the sort of stuff that I'm thinking, the more pressure that comes on England, the worse England get. And they make this big song and a dance about being the big I am and how they cope with all the pressure. And they don't cope with the pressure, or they haven't in the past.
Have you seen Will Greenwood's pen portrait of the squad that he wrote for the, I think it's for the Times?
I think I saw the headline there. Yes, yeah.
It's the most insane piece of rugby writing I think I've ever read in my entire life.
Thing is, I won't read anything unless I'm on the same amount of drug or alcohol as the person who's written it, and I'm not brave enough to go for Will Greenwood yet.
It's the ramblings of a lunatic. It is absolutely insane. It's worth it just for pure comedy value.
Well,
listening to him on the Lines tour was weird.
Well, there's Gav's recommendation for the week, then, gents. So, we're going to wrap it up. So I'm gonna say thank you to you guys now, and then I'm going to do a little bit myself. So a big thank you to Gav for this week for stepping in for Jamie. Jamie is back next week. Even when Jamie's, so I'm going to drop Jamie in the shit now. So even when Jamie's on holiday in Spain and he's promised his wife that he's not going to touch the pod at all, Jamie's still organising pods and sorting all sorts of shit out. So Jamie will be back and in trouble next week. So Gav, thank you for stepping in, mate. So we can find you where now on what's the name of your podcast?
It's called Gav and Steph versus the Forces of Evil. It's not rugby related at all. It's horror that I do with Grav from Rock and Roll. That's our side project. And I'm on Twitter as at the Trosk, Trosk, but that's mainly me whinging about how much I hate ELO.
Fantastic. So Carwyn, Harley, thank you very much again for your company this evening. So just before we finish up, I just want to say a little piece from myself and a few thank yous and what have you. So for those of you that don't know, I was taken into hospital a couple of weeks ago. Bit of a serious issue, emergency operation, high as a kite for about 3 days on morphine. That shit will fuck you up. Oh my god, it's lovely when you're on it and you're away with the fairies, and then you come back to earth and fuck me, it hits you. But yeah, I just want a big thank you to all my family, all my friends, for everyone that's been in touch, for all the good wishes and their good thoughts, but especially to everyone at Ward 4 and A&E at Withybush. I genuinely, hand on heart, would not have been here now without them. And I mean that in the most serious way. It was, 24, 48 hours later, and I would have been having a very different visit with a doctor. So a massive thank you to everyone that helped with my care, pulling me down off morphine and getting me back to normal. But especially my wife and family, it just puts a massive strain on her. So yeah, big thank you to everybody. But we're back to normal. We're in recovery and all that kind of stuff. And the first thing I wanted to do was obviously get back on the pod and give my life some meaning, as we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the best thing for it. So yeah, just on a side note to that, there's a lot of stuff going around about the NHS at the minute, and genuinely, the guys that work in the NHS don't have the time to stand up and fight for the NHS. They are far too busy working their nuts off trying to keep people alive. So if the rest of us don't stand up and try and defend our NHS and trying to make our NHS what it should be, it will get taken away from us, and you can very much feel that when it's in there. So
now, I did have something really funny to say about you, but it's probably a bit too personal, so I won't.
No, go on, finish it on a high note.
No, because you haven't explained what's happened completely, so I don't want to go down that route.
Okay, I had a large part of my bowel removed, and a blockage, which we believe is a tumour, which may be cancer, which may need further treatment. So that's what I had. So
okay, in that case, as Jamie would say, Lee shit the bed severely.
The problem was I couldn't. That was the issue. I couldn't shit the bed.
And I did find a a little case which I sent to Lee. The link for him to purchase online was his beer of the week bag. But we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Gents, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time. And we will pick this up again next week when we review the England and Wales game once again. All the very best, gents. Good night.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Ta-ra. Ta-ra. Thank you for listening to the Wrap Podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed recording it. Please do rate us and tell your friends, as it really helps us to grow and get better. We'll be back next week with more of the same, and until then, enjoy your rugby.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.